Were you more nervous for the show in front of 5,000 people or the day your kid was born?
Oh, probably the day that the kid was born. Yeah, I was scared of her for the first 6 months. I loved her, but I was terrified of her.
Hello, people of the world. Welcome back to another episode of Sam Sessions. Back here in the acoustic area room, of course, at South Austin Music. Another special day, as always. To my right, we got Will Knaak. Show's hosted by the world's worst interviewer.
Perfect.
Couldn't go better than that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That's I'm going top 5 introductions for me right there. That was smooth. It was all in one breath. No shaky voice. That was up there.
Oh, man.
Up to a good start. So how you been, man?
Man, great. It's been a great year last year,
Yeah.
and this year started off amazing. So.
Has it really?
Yeah.
That's good. It's good to get a strong start. I just said this in the last one, but it's hilarious because I'll be around people like you in the shop, and I'm just at work. It's another day of work for me, and then I get to find out that I'm going to get to interview you, and I start doing all this research, and the next thing you know, I'm like, holy shit, I can't believe I'm getting to interview this person, And it's like, I feel like I knew you just as like a regular person in the shop, and now I realize truly like what you've done and what you're capable of. So I'm really excited to be able to do this today.
Dang, well, I appreciate it, man.
Absolutely.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, the first thing I noticed kind of getting into the research with you is it seems like almost like every person in your family plays some kind of instrument. I think like your grandfather, your grandma, you have an aunt and uncle that played a little bit too. Do you think you still would have found music had that not been the case?
I can't say, but my earliest memory is like my dad playing Rocky Raccoon on piano. I'm just like crawling under his feet, and he's playing that. Yeah, my grandmother played, and one of my uncles, he's not a blood uncle, but him and my dad played in a band in the 70s in Houston.
Okay.
And absolutely, man, I'm glad that I have that because I got into it early.
Yeah. Well, and you also, I think somewhere I found that you and your dad used to go eat at Broken Spoke all the time when you're like a little kid.
Right.
I can't imagine growing up in a scene like that, at a young age. That must have drawn you to the music as well.
No, and it was naively that I got to start playing because we befriended some of these musicians that played there in the dining area, not in the dance hall on Tuesday nights. And they knew that I could play a little bit, so they'd show me something. And then I started getting better. They'd get me up to sit in on a song or two.
Wow.
And so it just kind of naively happened that I even decided to pursue music. But I think that being able to play at such a young age, even knowing a limited skill set, gave me an application. And then you have a reason for doing it as opposed to, I'm practicing this Black Sabbath riff or whatever a lot of people are doing, which is great.
Yeah.
They're learning from YouTube now or whatever, but I was learning this stuff from people and learning how to perform it with them in real time. Like when I met Johnny X, he would show me songs to play with the Nortons down at the Hole in the Wall. So I learned all this old surf stuff and old blues songs and Chuck Berry songs, and I'd get up and play. And of course, they like having me play because if a kid plays Johnny Be Good behind his head, they get 50s and 100s in the tip jar, So then I started getting like hired every now and then when one of them couldn't do it, and it just kind of coalesced to, wow, I'm actually, my first paid gig, I was 12, and like kept going. I barely knew more than like a blues scale, a couple Chuck Berry licks, and da-na-na-na-na,
Yeah.
So
I can't imagine having that kind of success at that age. It totally blows my mind. One other thing I wanted to ask you about was, and it's almost like Wikipedia is probably lying about this one. They have to be. But I saw that when you were 15, the mayor of Austin named, was it like May 24th, Will Knaak Day?
Right, yeah.
And then you played Auditorium Shores in front of like thousands of people.
Yeah, that was a trip. It happened because of Ginger, who's Ernie Durawa's wife. She headed the union here, and early on, I was a member of the union for when we run into problems where they're like, I can't have a kid coming to this bar. Well, I have a union card. I'm here to work. It's a right to work state. There'd be nothing they could do about it, right? So she hooked me up with that gig, and I played with the Town of Dames at Warro's, sitting in, and the mayor, Kirk Watson, was there, and Michelle Murphy told him about the show, and he's like, well, let's do his day on that show too, and so it became this deal. And
That's hilarious.
I'd say, I'd played in front of some packed bars around, and but never more than 50 to maybe 100 people at a time, tops, right? And then you go step on stage in front of 5,000 people, and you just get outside yourself, and the energy is just palpable, and it's it ruined me for anything else. So after that, I never went back to school. I got a GED, which we agreed, I could homeschool to keep the truancy officers at bay until I was legal age to take a GED, and then I did. But I just, that was it. Like, I was ruined for anything else, man, after that.
No chance of finding you busting tables at a restaurant or anything.
Luckily not, I definitely had some bleak moments there financially at times and went through some struggles, but I just always kept trucking. It seemed like the universe always provided another opportunity right when I needed it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really cool. That was another thing I wanted to ask you about. Of course, part of the human experience is going through shit and going through hard times, but you've definitely had your fair share without getting into any kind of detail. You've dealt with some hard stuff, and you always seem to come through even stronger than before. Do you have any kind of advice to people that are going through their own hard problems and what they should be thinking about to get through it?
You got to find something to live for, and for me, it was music early on. I think that I would have fell into drugs and alcohol harder if I didn't have that. My brother, he actually died of an accident he had when he was high on meth and drunk. And I don't think he had anything else to live for. And I remember having this moment very clearly where I realized, man, I had this crossroads, like I'm pretty good and I'm working, but I'm eventually going to hit where, you should steer clear of Will because he's, and not be able to live up to my potential and not be as good as I want to be, and I'm still never hit that. I have some really great moments, and then it's like you got to keep going and keep growing. But find something to live for, man.
Yeah,
something bigger than you.
Yeah, a passion or something like that. Yeah, it's cool. Seems like right from the start, music's been a huge part of your life, and it's kind of kept you through the whole thing.
For sure. Yeah,
it's interesting. I guess we'll jump back a little bit here, but playing that show at 15 in front of 5,000 people, how do you deal with the nerves of that?
I just remember being backstage, it was outdoors, right, at Auditorium Shores. So I just was kind of playing my guitar. I think Pawnee Bone was before, and I had played with him some at Jovita's back in the day, which is no longer here. And so I was just kind of like jamming along with their set, like just improvising along with their set. And then I went to Stevie's statue and put like a pick under his boot, and I was like, please help me, Stevie. If you listen,
no
I remember
way.
that. Yeah. And then I just went up there, and I don't remember much of it. It felt just so out of body, but it was a great show. I wish it had been recorded.
Yeah.
But there was, the news did some stuff, so there's a little bit of footage. I think maybe my sister has a copy of some of that, but it was just out of body, man. I like everything else took over. Instinct took over, and it was crazy.
That's so cool. You almost offered up a sacrifice to Stevie.
He's right there.
Yeah. That's a really cool way to do it. And I guess he was probably there with you that day. Again, I just can't imagine doing something like that, especially at that age. It's really, really commendable to pull through it. So when you played with Blue October, how long were you playing with Blue October?
For 5 years.
5 years. Is there anything that you could pull from that seems like something that was really important that you learned in your time playing with them? Whether it's music or outside of music or working with people.
A couple things for sure. They're all very good fathers, and so I became a father while in that band, and definitely had some good guidance from them.
Oh, that's
and,
awesome. That's
some
cool.
support. So I'm really grateful for them in that. And Justin and I have, Recovery and Ryan as well in common. So, keeping that first is the key.
Yeah.
And then musically, more and more as I get older, you when you're growing up, you hear less is more, serve the song, all this, but even more so with them. And I learned a lot more about texture guitar wise, as opposed to busting a bunch of licks, you're painting a landscape sonically. And so that was, I got to use my reverb pedals and delay pedals more than in other gigs where it's more of a natural thing and they're wanting you to just rip it up, So, and granted, there were some pockets where I would rip one for them,
Right.
But just even more so, it's the serving the song and painting sonic landscapes. So,
kind of going to the as far as being a new father, what kind of advice would you give someone who's a fresh dad?
You're gonna figure it out. That's it. Nothing that anybody tells you really necessarily preps you, and just keep going, love them. And
were you more nervous for the show in front of 5,000 people or the day your kid was born?
Oh, probably the day that the kid was born. Yeah, I was scared of her for the first 6 months. I loved her, but I was terrified of her. And it was during COVID, man. We had her April of 2020, and just like my career had gone away. Everybody with a music career, so many people in so many fields, career went away. And it's like, man, I have to provide for this thing. Yet how am I going to provide?
Yeah.
And it's just what a crazy time. But I'm really grateful in retrospect because I got to spend the first 18 months of her life with her almost every single day without interruption, because I didn't go back on tour for about 18 months. It was the fall of 2021 was when we finally hit it back like regularly.
That's really special. That's a kind of like a silver lining to it, I would imagine.
Absolutely. Super grateful for that. And when we made it through, I did like some online Zoom lessons for some of the Blue October fans, and did session work and hustled, between that and unemployment. And we made it. We did it. We pulled it off somehow, some way.
We're through it. We're definitely through it. So, you definitely made it through, which is incredible. I can't imagine everyone was kind of fearful in that time, but musicians especially. I mean, your bread and butter is being around a whole bunch of people, and now you can't do that. So it's just got to be really tough as a musician to go through a lockdown,
Right, and it wasn't essential, so it was going to be one of the last things to come back. And
yeah, I have my feelings on that.
Music
is so essential to me. Are you kidding me?
Amen. Amen. Let's tell the rest of the world that.
Yeah, that's insane, Man, that's really cool to hear. Yeah, the Blue October days were great, and it's cool to see some of the stuff you pulled from your time with them. And now, I know originally you were kind of working as a sideman, playing with Parker McCollum. Are you now the full-time lead guitarist?
Yeah, I do guitar and pedal steel.
Wow.
So doing a lot of stuff. It's cool. We got 3 great guitar players in that band. I love those dudes. One of them is Alex Whedon, great dude. He played with Miranda Lambert for a long time. And Brady Beal, he's kind of like the slide specialist. And then bringing me in to expand on things, it's been really cool. And it all just kind of happened naturally. Parker broke his hand, and he just needed – I was off tour with Blue October. He needed someone to fill in and play acoustic for him where he couldn't. And so I was like, sure, let's do it. And it was a great time. And at the end, he's just kind of like, man, we love having you around. Obviously I'm going to be healed up, but would you be into coming back and doing more, doing some a bunch of different instruments, whatever you want to do, kind of is how they put it to me. And I was like, well, sure, of course. Yeah, make me an offer. Let's talk about it. Because he's blowing up right now. And I've always really liked him and knew that something great was going to happen for him. He used to open for Wade and Randy back in the day when I played with them before Blue October. And I was like, good-looking kid, great voice, was writing some cool songs. Like, who knows what he's going to do? Yeah. And just seeing it, I was like, yeah, you can't really pass this opportunity up. And there's a bunch of different positives. I had to do pros and cons about it because I love the Blue October guys, but ultimately, be with my daughter more, because when we're on tour, you fly, meet the buses, ride around for a couple days, they fly you home every week. Yeah. So I'll get to see her every week, even when I'm on the road, which is crazy because this year I was gone like 5 months damn near straight. Wow. With Blue October, and FaceTime's the only interaction I got with my daughter. And I'm glad for it, but man, that's just not ideal at this age. They're changing so much from a career standpoint and family standpoint. It checked all the boxes, and I just did my first 2 shows full time with them, closing out the year, and it was better than I even anticipated. So
that's incredible, man.
We're starting some rehearsals this next month. We have Casey Musgrave's band leaders coming in to work with us. Okay. And we're getting the set all together. I've just been like shed and switch over, do some guitar, switch over to the pedal steel, bust out my lap steel, hit my baritone. It's kind of, it's been great. I'm really it's fun. It's a challenge because I've never done pedal steel outside of my room, and I've learned a whole lot just from trying to pick up this gig. And only I had to play 4 songs, so I learned the parts. But now it's like, oh, things are opening up. I took some lessons from some buddies of mine, and ultimately I'm going to do it my own way too. Like that's how I do everything. And it's fun, man. I'm super stoked.
Yeah. Well, and pedal steel is such a challenge of an instrument. I was talking to a pedal steel player, and asked him why the pedal steel, and he said, well, because I hate myself.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, have you gotten discouraged, like, playing the pedal steel, or?
Oh, yeah, yeah. You have these moments where it's like you got to tune it 3 different ways, and you got to do all these different action adjustments, like learning how to just set it up, how to keep it in tune. To play like the most simple things is like several movements, like your 0 fret, you move up 3 frets, you got to hit the lever and the A pedal, then you move up a couple more frets, you A B down, then you're back at the 0 fret. Like these, it's weird, it feels like you're doing an algebra equation half the time. But once you get the muscle memory with it, like it makes sense. And playing other instruments, playing lap steel, playing slide, like the intonation came probably easier. Because you're always chasing that anyway. But it's a challenge, and it's really piqued my passion again. Like
that's cool.
I feel fresh. I feel like I'm a kid. And I'm practicing more like how I used to when I was young.
Yeah. That's awesome. Does it feel like kind of in your music career? Does it feel like it's been a steady upward trajectory? Does it feel like a roller coaster, lots of ups and downs? I mean, especially now playing with Parker and having played with Blue October, I'm just curious. Does it feel like you keep getting bigger and bigger, or has it just been all over the place?
No, it's been consistently bigger and bigger. It was a bunch of different stuff getting here, but I'd say about 10 years ago when I started getting. 10 years ago when I started sobering up, things started getting better quick. I started playing with Wade Bowen and then Randy Rogers, and that was like I always wanted to play a gig that was like consistently, where you're on a salary and you have a bus and you can be comfortable out there while you're making a living. And then that led into the Blue October thing, about 4 years later. And I wanted to see more of the world. And so, went to Russia and all over Europe with them and, got to play music a different way. And then, back to country, but on a different level than the Texas scene, which is, Parker came from the Texas scene, but now he's, on the national country scene. We're going to go out with Morgan Wallen, who's like the biggest name in country music right now. And I think the smallest room we're playing next year is like a 5,000 seater.
Wow.
And we just did, 12,000 and 8,000 out. It's big. We're, Blue October plays, say, between, 1,500 and 3,000 rooms a lot, so that's, it's nothing to sneeze at. Like I love playing Stubbs outdoor, but when I play with Parker next year, it'll be at the Moody Center.
Yeah.
So it's, it's definitely a step up. And it's been just a constant kind of rise, man, slow and steady, which I'm grateful for, right? You don't want to just get there and then burn out or.
Of course. Thank you so much for going into depth on some of those questions. It's a lot of fun to get to know more about you. So for the next part of the show, it's going to be a little bit more like either this or that or rapid fire questions or just, random kind of thought questions.
Okay.
I'll start off with, you brought up baritone. You play baritone a little bit. Baritone or pedal steel?
Pedal steel. I think right now I'm really just fired up about it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. What about big venue or small venue?
It kind of ties. I would go big venue as the obvious answer because if you're playing a bigger venue, great things are happening. You're probably making a better living, all these things. But there's something about playing, like I played sax and doing a solo acoustic gig, Song Swap, when I got back from the last Blue October tour, and it was great to play in front of 60 people in an intimate room. So different for different reasons, both are equally valid.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. That's the first time we've gotten that answer. That's cool. Let's see. Do you prefer, as far as touring goes, do you prefer road trips or planes?
I don't love flying.
Yeah.
I prefer being on the bus, but it's okay to fly too. Yeah.
You get into like all kind of like fun shenanigans on the bus, and that's kind of why.
I think so, and just airports will just hammer you down. But luckily with Parker, he's going to be taking some private jets some this year, so we'll see what that's like.
I can't imagine that.
We'll see. We'll see what that's like. I never experienced that. I've only road economy or whatever.
Yeah, that's super cool. You'll have to tell me because I won't experience it.
I'll let you know.
You'll have to call the shop and tell me how that was.
I'm sure I'll be flying a lot of Southwest flights too.
Yeah,
Don't worry
yeah,
about
yeah.
it. You know.
Yeah,
I'll just be glad to get home to my daughter though.
There you go. Good stuff. Let's see. I like your tattoos. Do you like colored tattoos or like plain black tattoos?
I like color now, and I like American traditional.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Interesting. With the color, do you worry about like the fading at all? Or is it you'll just go get it redone?
I haven't even thought
that far
about
ahead.
it at all. Like whatever, maybe if it fades, I'll look like this cool old rocker. You know?
Okay.
It'll be fine.
I see that.
It'll be fine.
Movies or TV shows?
Probably TV shows. Movies seem like they're too much of an investment sometimes.
Yeah.
And maybe I should be practicing.
Do you like to practice? Is there a certain time of day that you practice? Like you try and practice at this time every day?
It used to be I did my best like in the way late hours of the day, like 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. seemed like the best for me. But I've been going to bed a lot earlier and waking up early. So every day at 10 a.m. right now, I've been sitting down for at least 2 or 3 hours and going through stuff. So that's been my new routine this year. So yeah,
I gotta imagine the kid has something to do with the change of
for
times
sure.
that you're awake.
For sure. And I'm not playing bar gigs in Austin till 1:30 a.m. anymore. You know, I'm not. So I don't need. You know, you get off stage, you can't go to sleep right away. So you know, I mean, I'm off stage out on the road by, I don't know, 11 o'clock or something.
Wow.
You know, because you start at 9:30 and then
Yeah.
you're done by 11.
Yeah, it's cool to see that change as you go through your career. Electric or acoustic guitar?
I'm always gonna be a telly guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, electric.
Yeah. Why telly over Strat?
It's what I grew up playing. Johnny X played a telly, and I just feel they're more solid for me. Strats have a little bit more options, but they're a little quirkier. You know, you have the tremolo and just something about the way a telly feels. It's so solid, and Leo got it right the first time.
I like that. That's a good way to put it. It's seems so much more classic to me as someone who's like not as deep into it as you are. It seems like a more classic instrument.
Right, yeah.
Do you have a favorite conspiracy theory? Or do you have one that makes you laugh or one that intrigues you?
You know, I think it's funny to talk about the lizard people from Planet Nibiru. My buddy's a big flat earther. That's a good one, too. And he's always telling me that, you know, the vaccine's going to kill me. Like, I had to get it to go to Canada, bro.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? I couldn't work if I didn't have it.
Yeah, gotta work,
but
too.
It'd be nice if I didn't have a job and I was just hanging out like he is, you know. That's why he has all the time to get on YouTube and look up all these conspiracy theories.
Yeah. That's funny. Okay, so he's the legitimate flat earther then?
Oh, he's every conspiracy theory you can imagine.
Wow.
The other day he was telling me, you know, about the vaccine's going to kill me, but they're going to have these med beds which like heal limbs, or, you know, like restore limbs and do everything. So I'm like, wait, are they killing me or are they trying to heal me? Or are they going to kill me before they heal me? Like, you're kind of contradicting yourself. He's like, I'm just trying to tell you, brother. Like, love you too, man. I love him. He used to drive me to gigs before I had a license, and he was a good friend of my older brother's, and call him Big Shoot. But yeah, he's a conspiracy nut, so he keeps me up to date on them, all of them.
That's hilarious. Do you just hear him out? Do you play into it at all? Do you ever tell him, hey, that sounds really stupid? Or
you know, just every now and then when I tell him, like, hey, man, you're contradicting yourself, like in funny ways. But
yeah.
I just listen to it, you know. And then I ask him, like, hey, how are you doing though? I want to talk about you, like not about this.
Right. That's cool. I love conspiracy theories and I love people that are super into them. But I also I find it hard to take anything too serious. But that's cool. Would you rather have a penthouse in whatever city you want, like super nice penthouse, or would you rather have a whole bunch of land, some farm, ranch house type deal?
Man, that's a really good question. I do like city life, but I think for me, like I'd want to have like a studio, more land, you know, some a spread, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, it seems family life works well with that too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's good. New York or East Coast or West Coast?
East Coast.
Yeah?
Yeah. I really like Boston and New York and that vibe. I love California too, but something about being in those like the colonies, Boston's one of my favorite towns.
Yeah. I like the attitude on the East Coast a little bit more too, more to the point and straight up. It's fun. Okay. Would you rather be the first person alive or the last?
Oh wow.
That's always the head scratcher.
The last, just to see it all go down, it might be really quiet. You know, it gets a piece of quiet.
Yeah. Let's see. Last one here. I just had it on the tip of my tongue. Oh, yeah. Fight or flight?
Flight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just easier.
Yeah, exactly. I'd rather be happy than be right, and I'm just not I'm not big into conflict. So
Yeah, I got you. Well, I'm seriously really excited to see what you do this year and what you do in the future, and it's been a pleasure to see you in the shop and to get to know you today. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks, I appreciate you. Yeah,
It was great, man. Thank you, Will. Oh, and if I can get you to stick around and do a performance, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, we'll pull one of these guitars off the wall and do it.
Sure, we can find one.
This one's called "Feel Like a Stranger." Feel like a stranger, rolling on a fast train. Feel like a killer on the loose. Bloody tracks gon' keep me rolling. Bloody tracks keep me from that noose. I'm hiding from the law and running with the devil. Got no friends to call my own. Lost my lover, left her behind me. Got nobody, take me home. Won't you try to understand? I said all in all, I'm just a man. Life never goes the way we plan. Our time's footsteps in the sand. Back then used to be someone you could see. Used to have something better than nothing. Used to be something set me free. Oh, won't you try to understand? I said all in all, I'm just a man. Life never goes the way we plan. Our time is footsteps in the sand. Life on the road ain't no way easy. Life on the road gonna wear you down. Flying so high above the world now. Flying so high, never touch the ground. But won't you try to understand? I said all in all, I'm just a man. Life never goes the way we plan. Our time is footsteps in the sand.